Hello and welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Holt Training, and welcome to this week's tutorial where we're going to be talking about everything a runner needs to know about posture. So first of all, we're going to look at runner's posture or running posture, and then we're going to talk about how do I change my posture if you need to change it. So before we get into that, just quickly mention my social media platforms. You've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. Please do come along there, like and follow. Wherever you're watching this video on one of those platforms, please do comment below if there's anything you've learned from this video, anything you found interesting in this video, or if you have any questions about anything in this video. It'd be great to hear from you. Reply as quick as I can, and maybe it will become another video if the question so needs it. Alternatively, you can come down to the website, which is christopherholttraining.com, and you can download a 14-day micro workout with the 4 best stretches for lordosis. Now, lordosis is a condition of the lumbar spine where it becomes exaggerated, or the curve becomes exaggerated, and these 4 stretches will help make the hips more flexible, help the spine move into a more neutral or natural position for it. So please do come along there and download that one. You get all the workout guidelines in there, and you get 2 follow-up videos as well to help you get more from the stretches as well. So what we're going to do now is go straight into runner's posture. Running posture, for the most part, isn't too dissimilar than just good posture in general, but obviously we are running, so there are going to be some specific parts that we will need to talk about. So with regards to the head, all you need to do is much the same as the normal posture, is just keep your head up and looking forward. What you do find as you fatigue, you may start to look sort of down towards your feet, but the idea is to keep the eyes level and looking forward. With regards to the arms, what we want is the arms to be swinging. As you can see in the picture here, you've got proper movement of the arms all the way through, so we're creating good swinging from the arm. Now the upper back, a lot of people don't necessarily know this, but what we want to be able to do is, if we're looking down, so there's the head, this is a bird's eye view, and then you've got the shoulder, and then you've got the arms coming down off that. But what we want from the upper back is we want ever so slight rotation. So we want to be rotating the shoulders ever so slightly. So as this one goes forward, this one goes back. As this one goes back, this one goes forward. Because what that does is that creates the momentum for the arms. So the swinging of the arms comes from these small rotations in the upper back. And then it just basically radiates outwards into the arms. So as the arms start swinging, that creates then the momentum for the legs to start moving. So we start with the upper back with those small rotations. We then move that into the arms. And then this obviously then radiates down. The knees then are allowed to come high. So as you can see here, the knees are starting to come high, and the knees also will go into this bent position. So what a lot of people do is they leave a very straight leg at the back, and then they sort of swing it like a pendulum. But what we want to be able to do is lift the knee forwards so it comes up, but also the knee bends, so we flex at the hip to bring the knee up, and then we bend the knee, we flex the knee to allow the heel to come towards the bum. And then what we do is, when we then strike, is we then let that leg and that knee extend as well. So those are some of the things all the way sort of from the arms or from the head down to the knee. Could say slightly controversial, because I know some people don't like it, and I know there's a bit of conjecture about it, but I'm a very big fan of the toes making contact, or the ball of the foot making contact with the floor first, because it disperses the load, the pressure and the forces from the ground, first of all through the foot, and then misses the ankle, knee and or hip and lower back. So it's dispersing all those loads around and evenly around the tissues rather than the joints when the heel hits the floor. So finally, what we then do is short, quick strides. So if you're someone that has very sort of long strides, it doesn't mean making them as short as you can make them, but it does mean just increasing your cadence and just shortening your stride. So I don't want to say you're scurrying, but it's a bit more like you are scurrying along the floor. But if your feet are, if your ball of your feet is touching the floor first or hitting the floor first, that will help propel you forward, and then you just need to increase your cadence with that. So with regards to running posture or running technique, these are the types of things that we need to be focusing on. If we've got the eyes up, as I mentioned at the start, that will keep the spine up. So although I didn't really talk about what the spine needs to be doing and the rounding of the back, that's generally because it's led by what the head does. So if we can lead the head, the back sorts itself out. If we can lead with the rotation of the upper back, the arms, the knees will sort themselves out. And then all we've got to really consciously do is just increase our cadence with shorter and quicker strides. So that is a brief overview of what a runner's posture looks like. Now, if you are, or if you haven't got any of these or some of these, we're going to talk about next how to go about changing your posture. The common advice when it comes to changing posture is normally stretch the tight muscles and strengthen the weak muscles. Now, that doesn't really hold a lot of weight anymore. There's new understandings when it comes to posture, and what we first have to understand is it tightness or is it just instability? So, for example, if you think you have tight hamstrings, when you lie on the floor and lift your leg up, so let's just use this person is led on the floor. That's their hip and that's their foot. So when they lift their leg off the floor, does it only come to sort of that high? Or does it come to that high? If it comes to 90 degrees, then there's a good chance it's not tightness. There's a good chance it's just instability. So when you're led on the floor, you completely relax. You lift your leg, and if it comes all the way up to, say, 90 degrees, you know your muscles and your joint has flexibility to go through that range of movement. So what we can understand then is that you have the range of movement. It's not tightness. So what it must be then is instability of the hip. So when you go and you start running, your hamstrings are tightening to stabilize your pelvis. So that's just a very simple test that you can do to try and understand, do you have tight hamstrings or not? Now, if you have tight hamstrings because your foot only comes to, say, 45 degrees, then you want to go through a protocol of foam rolling or massage, stretch, and then move those muscles. So you foam roll or massage the hamstrings. You then stretch those hamstrings. That gives you a 20-minute window of increased range of movement, and then you go about moving it by touching your toes or going through some Romanian deadlift type exercises to be able to move within that new range of movement. If you have instability, so if you've got good range, so you lie down, you've got good range of movement in your hamstrings. What you've then got to do is basically go through stability training, which is control, coordination, and balance. So you might try single leg stances, or single leg Romanian deadlifts, or single leg reaches. So what you're then doing is you're then starting to stabilize your pelvis. So you'll not only have 90 degrees at the hip, but when you stand up and the muscles become active, you'll also have the range of movement that you require. And it's exactly the same at the upper back. So if you've got a spine that rounds and your head sort of drops forward a little bit, the first thing you want to be able to do is, can you stand up straight? Can you go into more of a and your eyes looking forward to a more sort of neutral and natural posture. Because again, if you can get into that position, we know it's not tightness. We know there's some instability through the spine that's causing it to round in this position. So again, if it's tight because we can't get into that position and we know this is just stiff and it's tight, then we need to foam roll, stretch and move. If we can get into that position, we know it's instability. So what we then need to do is go through some control, coordination and balance exercises. So I will be creating a video called Everything a Runner Needs to Know About Core Strength and Core Stability. I will start to share more about stability training in that video. When the link's available, I'll put it in the description for this video, so you'll be able to then gain an understanding of what those exercises are and how to do them. But that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour about everything a runner needs to know about posture. So many thanks for watching. If you want to come to any of my social media platforms, it'd be great to have you there. If you want to go to Christopher Holt Training and get hold of the 14-day micro workout, please by all means do. It's completely free. Just pop your name and your email address in. It will come straight through to you. You get 2 follow-up videos as well. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from Christopher Holt Training. I'll speak to you in next week's tutorial.